私のお婿さんになってくれない？
はあ入れ。
私は本気なんだけどな。
Shield Hero Season 4 episode number 9. What's going on, my friends? So this was a good episode of Shield Hero. Now, it looks like the girl that was introduced this week is the Water Miko, which is basically what Sedina's old position used to be in her tribe or in her, village of people. And at the end of it, it looks like Raphtalia and Naofumi kind of got like a summons, to basically meet with this water tribe. They got a formal summons, essentially. Now, as the episode was kind of not becoming one, but as the episode was kind of like unfolding, I guess you should say, my first thought was like, yo, what if this girl, because the emperor of 𝐜𝐴 currently seems to be a young girl. Now, I don't know for sure, but the way that it's been depicted so far is that she's young and making, she's young but smart beyond her years. That's why she's the emperor. So my first thought was like, what if this girl's the emperor? Like, just like saying like, oh, like what if she's not as bad as she's depicted, but kind of like fell into what she's doing. And I was like, oh, what if she's the emperor? But then I had the same thought. I was like, but she kind of looks like Sedina. I was like, she kind of looks like she could be like her little sister. So because of that, I was like, oh, well, maybe she is her little sister or whatever. And that kind of ended up being the case. And I don't know for sure if it's just like, that's the way her tribe looks. That's the way her people look. But she definitely looks like she has a lot of familiarities to Sedina. And then she had her moments where, she met up with Naofumi, because she keeps getting lost. Like, she's kind of an airhead in that way, but she's probably super powerful at the same time. And she ends up, playing cards, and they end up drinking some sake. And they have a cool moment, where they play cards and stuff. I was like, oh, this is really cool. So she has a cool moment. And then, at the end of it, she kind of messes with Naofumi. She's like, oh, why don't you just, I don't know, throwing ideas around. Why don't you marry me? And Naofumi's like, what? And he's like, go to bed, dude. Not gonna happen. And she was like, yo. And then, after he walks away, she's like, I'm being so for real. And I was like, God dang. I was like, if Sedina catches wind of that, like, she gonna get crazy. Because as we all came together in the community, is one of the last episodes, she said she's, Sedina is interested in somebody. That has to be our boy Naofumi. At this point, she's part of the harem. So that's going to introduce some turmoil. So I don't know how she's going to fit into the story exactly. And it's a little concerning because, we only have episode 10, 11, and 12. So we only have 3 episodes left to not only now introduce another character, but to introduce the turmoil of the town that they just left being attacked. And, the bow hero was back in the other town, so they have to figure that out. The summons of this water tribe and what that means. And then we have 2 more episodes for them to kind of take down the emperor of 𝐜𝐴. So I'm starting to think and feel that we're not really going to get a finish or an end to this 𝐜𝐴 arc. And that might end up being like a season 4 part 2 or season 4 core 2 or season 5 type deal. Which, if that ends up being the case, that really, really sucks. I would really like to see the end of this 𝐜𝐴 arc. But, at the end of the day, I think this was a good episode. It was fun. It was definitely transitional, right? I think some of the key things that happened in this episode is brand new character, learning more about the Miko, the water Miko and the water tribe. And, what kind of Sedina's role was there. She's kind of like the executor back in the day. And then now there's a different, water Miko that does that, which is probably this new girl that we met. I think her name is Zadonia, something like that. This new girl that we met. This introduced, Full and Atla's relationship with Raphtalia, and kind of how Full's been this protective barrier for Atla, and his protection and spoiledness of her and not letting her go and do her things and all this other stuff, because he feels more powerful. He wants to protect her now. This episode continued to be funny because Atla keeps wanting to pursue Naofumi heavily, and it's just really funny to see her do that. And I guess the last thing that it did was solidify that, they need to go to the old emperor's town or the old city, because the blacksmith, all his stuff is there in that old city, and they need him to do what he gonna do with the sword and stuff, so that is an interesting thing as well too. So a lot of interesting things happened this episode, but definitely felt filler-ish and transitional. But its main thing was to introduce you and I to that new character, which is this water Miko. So next episode is episode 10, and next week is called Prayer. So I'm guessing it's going to be all about this water Miko tribe and whatever they're bringing into the fold. No pun intended with the character there. So yeah. All right, friends, that's all I got for you. I think this episode was a 8 out of 10. I really liked it. I liked that it was fun. It was charming. It was funny, and it introduced a new character who is I like the way she's being depicted, like this ditzy kind of lost, but she's probably super powerful and super crazy at the same time. All right, friends, I'll see you guys next week. Appreciate you guys being here for another week. Hit me with a like before you guys leave. See you then.